Hey everybody, I'm back for another episode of the podcast and I have James Rostance with me. James, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to grill you, and if you've never seen one of these podcasts, God help you, because poor James has no idea what I'm going to say next. And I love doing this way because sometimes when you do a podcast, it's quite scripted and quite rigid, and this is going to be whatever we say comes out, right? Mm-hmm. So James, tell us a little bit about Story Hero and what you get up to there.
So Story Hero, I specialise purely in producing video case studies and story-based video case studies, which tell the story of what the challenges businesses, customers were up against, why they're a problem, and what they had to take on board for solving that problem, and then set about revealing why they chose the company who's paying for the case study and why their product or service was a good fit.
Okay, so just to be difficult from the beginning.
Yes.
A lot of people will be using case studies already. There'll be PDFs, there'll be testimonial style case studies. Why do you think people should do video case studies?
Well, when it comes to written versus video case studies, the big problem with written is that nobody truly wants to read a 1,500-word case study, and video is unquestionably the preferred medium. So if you would prefer to watch a video versus reading a long report, then so too would your potential customers. And I guess the other thing is down to authenticity, because with a written case study, it can be embellished or completely made up.
That was very diplomatic.
It was
embellished. You mean a bit of spin on it, right? Good old Tony Blair spin on it, right?
Yes, exactly. And today's B2B buyers are, well, first of all, smart, and they also, I think, have a healthy degree of skepticism. So this is why written case studies really don't cut the mustard so much now. Whereas with a video case study, if it's your customer on screen and you can see them talking and saying the things which are the case study is about, then as far as authenticity and credibility, you've got full scores, and that's why.
And one of the things I find, it's particularly in like a competitive environment where it's like, is it this company or this company? It isn't about like a big game-changing thing. It's little things that make the marginal difference, isn't it? You don't, I think we talked about this earlier, you don't lose because your proposal was shit. You lose it because somebody else was marginally better. Would you say that video case studies give you that margin? Yes,
it's about, as you say, giving you the vendor company the edge and to help stack the argument or the points in your favour. And even if it is only a small bit, for example, if that's what it's going to take to win you the deal, then the exercise is all worth it.
Yeah, like in a kind of, I'm a bit politics obsessed, but in a kind of an election, you can win by being 2 or 3% over your competitor, and that 2 or 3% is made up of effectively people believing you more than somebody else. Mm-hmm. When it boils down to it, it's about human belief, right?
For sure. And ultimately, a video case study is it's a combined sales and marketing tool. It does a huge amount of the weightlifting for marketing, and equally it does comparatively a huge amount for the sales conversation, which the sales team otherwise has to take a prospect through in order to move them towards the end where they make a decision as to who to go for.
Mm-hmm. And often I find when somebody's making their minds up, it's not always about, yes, it's about who is the best company, who do we get along with, who has the best value, the best proposal. There is that element, but there's also an element of who's the least risky. Mm-hmm. So in the consulting world, there's this saying, there's obviously some big consulting firms, there's about 4 or 5 of them. Nobody gets fired for hiring one of them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think in proposal scenarios where people are trying to kind of weigh up, they are kind of looking at which is the safest bet. because very few businesses can offer ultimate certainty of anything, really, unless you're making a widget. Then you can say that widget will be the same every time. But if you're selling a service, people are looking at it going, which is the best service? They don't really know. So they look at what's the risks, the pros and the cons. And part of, I would guess, them watching that video of a client saying how good your service was kind of gives them another level of reassurance because it's coming out of somebody else's mouth.
For sure, yes. And actually, that's a good point because when it comes to, say, your company is really good at protecting a buyer's interest against something bad happening, you might very well know that, oh, well, of course, we've got that covered because we've got this process in place and we do this and we deliver it in a certain way. But because it's all very well that you know that you deliver it and have that covered, but it's another thing for the prospective buyer for them to fully appreciate how you've got their back covered and how they would otherwise stand to be at risk or how they would stand to benefit if only they had your help. So it's one thing for you to say, we've got your back and we do this to keep you safe, but it's way more powerful and way more effective if your client is then able to cover this in the video case study and articulate that because it lands so much stronger in the eyes of the prospective buyer.
Now, I know there's some secret sauce here, so I can't ask you all of these questions,
All right.
but some people would say it's really difficult getting people to give you testimonials. It's quite difficult to get people, time constraints, nervous about where it's going to end up. What can you share? Because you've got a very unique way of doing it, and you'd kill me if I told people about it.
Yeah.
But you've got a very unique way of telling that story, your own method. What are some of the things you can share about how you get such great conversations for clients on camera?
Sure. Well, in terms of setting it up to start with, you are right. I mean, regardless of how amazing the client relationship is, to do a case study, it's still an ask on their part. You're still asking for time, which is in turn is money from the client, and you also, as part of that, you're likely going to need to inconvenience the rest of their business, because whenever you do a video case study, you can't really do it just based on the interview. You've got to get what's known as B-roll footage, which is the client's business in action. So in order to get that, you're going to be disrupting to a certain degree that client's business. So really the key for addressing that is to engineer a win-win situation so that both of you win from producing the case study. And what was the other part you asked about asking them?
What can you tell about the method of how you not only get them on camera, which you kind of said create the win-win.
Yeah.
But how do you land the right message? Because like it's not just about, like you said, it's not just about talking heads like a documentary kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You've got to kind of land a story. So what can you share about how you do that bit without giving away the crown jewels? But how do you get that remembered? What are some of the secrets about how you get that remembered? What's the secret there that you can share?
Yes. Okay. I guess a large part of it is as the video producer, understanding in detail what is special about your product or service, because one of the things that you shouldn't be saying about doing is asking open-ended questions and hoping that the client featured gives a good answer. In fact, I know for a fact that is the approach that nearly all video producers take in producing case studies, and it comes from the fact that video production companies like doing fun, exciting stuff, or what they consider fun, exciting. Okay, so these are promo videos and show website openers, and sure they'll do a video case study if they're asked, and the approach will be to get
me to say anything, and hope out of that we get something good.
Exactly, and that is a terrible way of going about producing any kind of collateral, hoping you're going to come up with a good result. So this is why you need to really understand your client, the client's business, how to sell it, because really this is a sales tool. So as a producer, once I can understand how to sell your product or service and what makes people buy, and also what you've got over your competitors, say where your competitors let other buyers down potentially, or put them at risk.
Weaknesses in their potential
Weaknesses in their offering, yes. Once I, as a producer, know that, then we can structure the interview so that we can have the client covering these points, and with that, making just knockout after knockout in terms of
it's kind of almost
addressing
like
the problem.
You might get offended and walk off at this point, but have you seen the latest round of political interview? You tell I'm obsessed with politics, right?
Yeah.
But you see like the two Conservative candidates being interviewed for leader.
Yeah.
And most of the questions that are asked are like, your policy, you want to cut taxes, but what about the people who are earning less than 10,000 a year? What are you going to do for them? And it's kind of like the negative version of what you're talking about is basically where you force an agenda, but in a very natural way that requires an answer. Now we see this negatively in journalism, where basically people are set up to answer silly questions. One of your colleagues said that you don't have a clue on taxation. How do you respond to that? Well, you can't respond to that in the media. They put out an agenda and an angle that you either look like you're dodging the question, or you come out with a wishy-washy answer because you don't want to fall into a trap. That's what I class as hack journalism. Yeah. But what you're saying is some of those, they do very closed questions, and we are trained to try, say open-ended questions, you get better conversations. But actually, when you're trying to capture somebody saying something that's going to add value to your business, you don't want to do that at all, right? That's what you're saying. Without turning into Beth Rigby or, Andrew Neil or any of those where they just trap people. But yeah, in a sense, I know this sounds a horrible way of putting it, you are trying to say, let's make sure your agenda comes out in the video. It shouldn't be an unbiased video. It should be biased to help you, right?
Yes, that is very much on the right track, because what's driving this is that collectively we're setting out to produce a sales and marketing tool, and success will be defined as to whether or not this video helps progress the sales conversation and helps nurture an educated buyer who appreciates their problem, and also then at the end of it appreciates why you're better able to help them with it more than any other. So because we've got the end goal in mind, which is to create a sales tool that will perform as that is what guides us in steering the conversation to talk about certain areas, because if we do that, then we will create, as far as the business is concerned, the perfect sales video.
And I guess, without kind of critiquing the video production world, anybody can buy a camera now.
Yeah.
Anybody can, buy some lights on eBay and do all of that stuff and have a setup, and they can charge themselves out at £400 a day. But what you're saying is it's not that bit. Yes, all the cameras are important, but it's not that bit, right? It's not just, I can film a video. It's the way it's produced that makes the result.
100%, yes, yeah. And I guess, if anything, that's the unique thing that I bring to the table, is that my background is equally split between B2B marketing and video TV production. Normally, you will get someone that's just a video producer. They might know a bit about marketing, but if you were to ask them, what do you do? I'm in video production. But my take has always been, I'm equally split between the two. So yes, by fusing them together, that's why we're able to produce an incredibly powerful video tool.
When we're talking about how do we get the best out of our clients to say the things that we want them to say, one of the challenges is sometimes you have to ask questions that draw those answers out. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some, I don't know whether they're classed as case studies, but they're certainly talking heads. And you kind of look at them and go, this is like boring. Mm-hmm. And it's just like somebody talking, waffling on, like me now, but not really kind of landing any key points. I mean, when you're doing a video, I don't know what the stats are at the moment, but you see it on all the social media channels. You've got to hold people's attention. They don't stick around for very long. How do you do that how long should a video case study be? And what are some of that you do share out your expertise, things that you've got to go, how am I going to hold people's attention?
Right. Well, first of all, the sweet spot for a video case study is anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes. Any less than that...
That's quite a long time though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. No, I shouldn't say yes, it is. If it depends how you look at it. So the case study is the full length feature version, and now if you were, say, trying to put that on LinkedIn or any other social channel and just stick on a full length video case study, yeah, correct, chances are you'd have a hard job getting people to watch it from the outset. So this is why a spot of strategy thinking comes into this, in that your video case study should be placed on a dedicated page on your website for that particular problem or need, and that particular vertical maybe that you ultimately address with that case study. But then working backwards from that, as far as a funnel is concerned, the process is to tease interest in that subject. So you would create shortcuts from that case study video to tease that particular issue there or that particular talking point. And then at the end of these videos, you then have a call to action, say, right, to find out more about this and to learn the full story, click here to watch the full length. Mm-hmm. So it's what the movie industry does all the time with Top Gun. There we go. We saw plenty of shortcuts of that. The same process applies.
So you would have the one kind of masterpiece, which really lays it all down, but actually teasers that feed into that to kind of go, actually, there's some, they solved this problem. Mm-hmm. Almost like your trailers.
Yeah, so you've got video trailers, but then also working really well is PDF carousels on LinkedIn, still images, straightforward posts, in fact, even social pictures of you out and about doing whatever, and then that your post on LinkedIn can be then talking about, or leading up to, talking about the problems and symptoms which were addressed in the case study. And then at the end of it, by the way, if you want to find out the full story, go to this page to watch this case study in full. So there are many, many different ways of pulling people down into the funnel to watch the full-length case study, but just know that the end of the road is the case study, and then finally on that case study page is some kind of mechanism to arrange a sales call and the next step. But all roads lead to the video case study page.
Yeah, cool. I get it. So out of that masterpiece of content, how do you get it remembered? Because we all watch loads of stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. What's something that really makes that memorable?
For me, it has to be in the B-roll footage. Well, actually, no, there's two things. First of all, the guest has to be looking on point. I see it far too often where people haven't put enough thought into where the guest is positioned, in what room, what the lighting is like, their positioning, everything. So first of all, you've got to get them looking good. Yep. But after that, then the B-roll footage is how you keep their interest, because it doesn't matter what your age now, we're all conditioned to have quite short attention spans when it comes to online content. So the way you do that is you would not really have a shot on screen. In terms of B-roll, we don't use them for anything more than, say, 4 seconds at a push. So the video itself is driven by the interview with the subject. You will see them on screen for short periods of time, but the rest of the time you've got fast cut B-roll footage of that client's business in action, showing the thing that they're delivering or how they produce it.
So it's constantly changing.
Yes, you've got to make it engaging, because if you wouldn't want to watch a stuffy, boring, slow-paced corporate video.
Do you know what? If I go onto Netflix, right, if the first minute of the film hasn't got me, it's like, this is gone.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's a film where I'm preparing to sit down and go, I'll give this an hour and a half or whatever. Mm-hmm. But actually, I'll judge it on a minute.
Yep.
Now, on a 4-minute video, how long would you judge? Seconds?
Yeah.
Seconds.
And in fact, that is a key part of producing a video case study. It's got to have a really strong hook right at the beginning to signal or communicate to the viewer that this is going to be worth your time. You're going to learn something from this. This is going to benefit you. And then after you've hooked them in successfully, then yes, going on further, shortcuts of nicely filmed footage of the business in action is how you keep the stimulation going. And you're putting effort into all of this to make a great piece of content, because this is going to be a signature piece of content that you're going to drive a lot of traffic to. So my thought behind it all is, if you're going to be driving all this traffic to it, then put in the effort to make it looking good. And then you as a company can then go, I'm really proud of that.
But so I'm just going to be more difficult. Sorry, James.
Do it.
Do you think, though, it's tricky for a business to do this themselves? I don't mean technically, because you can go on Amazon and buy cameras. Yeah. I think the story piece is actually really tricky. I mean, I'm massive film buff, right? Uh-huh. I've seen so many films that have come out, and it's like, oh, we've got to touch this topic, we've got to hit this agenda, we've got to hit this. And what happens is the story becomes a mess. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, I'm a big I'll just go into the sci-fi thing. I'm a big Star Trek fan and nuts, yes. Right? I don't dress up and wear the ears or anything, but I'm close. Right. So they've made a new series. They brought some of the old cast back, and it's a 10-episode series. And literally, you can feel when they've gone, we need to extend this story, or we need to push this particular point, or they push a point that then they don't really fulfill or pay off. And then when you watch it, you go, this was such a waste of my time, because they messed with the story by trying to land too many points. Yeah. Or they talk about A and B plots. This had like A, Z, A1. There was like a gazillion different plots, and it was like, this is a mess. But some Hollywood producer signed off on this and said it was great. But when the audience saw it, it was like, this is a mess. Do you think sometimes when a business tries to produce something themselves, they can end up with a very convoluted message, too many points, or emphasizing points that don't really matter?
Mm-hmm. The adage that springs to mind is all the gear, no idea. Yes, you can have the kit, but storytelling in itself is an art form. It is difficult to do it well. And yeah, when it comes to either TV series or a film, the one thing that you judge on, whether it's good or bad, is not down to the special effects, or you'd be having a push to do bad special effects these days, but it's not special effects, it's not the camera lenses necessarily, it's likely not the actors generally, it's the story. And to expect someone internally in a company to be able to be a craftsman or woman in writing a story, it is a really big ask. You've got to be really lucky to be able to do that. So I would say generally that's not a realistic expectation to be able to do it, because ultimately the story is the thing that drives it, and that's what the most important thing.
And how would you, because everybody talks about storytelling, everybody says storytelling.
Yeah.
But what does it really mean?
Oh, that's a good one. So,
because I see on LinkedIn with people said, I'm a storyteller. And I'm like, but what does that mean?
Yes. They might be a storyteller, but are they any good at it? That's really the thing that applies. For me, it's about taking the viewer on a journey, and it starts with, first of all, getting their attention, making them care, getting them invested in seeing how it plays out, and then also, in a way, rooting for the individual. And this is why one of the reasons why I called it Story Heroes is because it's based around making your client the hero of the story, because I need to be careful in describing this, because it's not technically true to say that a story definitely needs a hero for it to be a story, because you can have a hero, an anti-hero, and there's another variation of it. But generally speaking, you need a hero in a story. So my concept is to, rather than you talk about yourself and your company, how great everything is, if you make your client the hero and you're really focusing on what they did when they discovered they had a problem and how they set about fixing it and the measures they took and ultimately how they personally achieved this great outcome, which your company was involved in. But were it not for your client having done their due diligence, done their research, and ultimately chosen you, they would not have had that result. So it's about focusing on them, the hero. So going back to your point of storytelling, it really is an art form to do that properly, to take people on a journey and to hit all of those points so that at the end of it the viewer feels good for having watched it and that they've learned something from it as well, because that's the reason why someone would want to set about watching.
And the
video case
learning
study.
isn't that they should do business with you. There's another story in there.
That's the takeaway. But the reason that people will watch a video case study is because it sets up the ability for them to learn how to avoid pain, or be it the other way around, for them to achieve the results that someone else similar to them has been able to realize.
And do you think that's why a lot of case studies or a lot of videos end up so flat, because there's nothing for people to take away?
Yeah, the reason that's a polite way of putting it. I normally just say, look, most case studies suck because they do. They're typically no more than adverts disguised as case studies, which really annoys buyers, because if someone is researching their problem or need that they have, they first go through a research process. And nowadays, B2B buyers are spending, here we go, it was 34% more time researching a product or service now post-pandemic than before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So people want to do the research, and when they're doing research, they're not ready to be sold to yet. That comes later. But the problem comes when marketers set about producing case studies, be it a written one or even a video case study. They will first of all introduce the person, and then it's very common for you to have anywhere between 10 to 30 seconds of the customer talking about their company and how long they've been in business. At that point, no one cares. Well, they don't have a reason to care at that point. Mm-hmm. But after they've briefly introduced the problem, they will then spend the rest of the video talking about how wonderful the product or service is, and they will be focusing on the features and benefits of the product or service. That's not a case study. That's a promo video. And yeah. I'm not bashing promo videos. You do need promo videos. Just don't mislead people, because if someone wants to watch a promo video and there's a need for promo video, great, give them that. But if you are setting out to capitalize on the opportunity which connecting with a buyer during the research process by providing them with a video case study, then give them a video case study. Don't give them one that's disguised, an advert that's disguised as
propaganda,
one.
Basically.
It is, and that's not a good way to start a relationship. Lying, which is what.
Well, I think it comes from, we're so keen to get business. We go, we've got to say this, we've got to say that. But actually, at the end of it, they've watched the 4 minutes. They're not going to remember word for word. They're only going to remember some key things. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, in training, right? If you do 10 minutes of training, within 30 minutes, most people have forgotten 80% of it. That's the stat in my world in training.
Yeah.
So if I give you a 10-minute training session, at the end of it, half an hour later, you're only going to remember 20%. So in a video case study, the challenge you've got in a video is you've got to land something. Despite having 4 minutes, you've got to land something really concise that they remember in amongst all the other things you want to say. How would you go about making sure you don't go all in on emphasizing loads of stuff and miss that key message you've got to leave them with?
That's a great question. I would say it comes back to using the vehicle of true storytelling, because if someone hits you with loads of facts and stats, I guess that's kind of like throwing whatever it is at the wall and hoping some of it sticks, but generally it's going to fall off. But the reason why using true storytelling as a vehicle is that stories are inherently memorable, and it's why you can very easily recount a story and tell someone else's story, hitting most of the points in it because you've done it as a story. Whereas if someone comes along and tells you a series of stats, are you going to be, it's an example off the top of my head, are you going to be able to recount those stats just as well as that person did, versus you retelling a story that someone's just told you?
So I don't know how true this is, but I heard somebody said the best, and disagree or agree, is the best way to communicate with somebody is if you leave them with a picture in their head when you finish talking.
That's nice.
And I was like, yeah, because we think in pictures, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I talk about a tin of beans, right now, some people who are watching this are going to be imagining a tin of beans. We don't think of the word, we imagine the picture. I mean, I'm doing it now. I've got a label of Heinz beans in my head as I'm thinking now about beans. We actually create pictures. And I think, is that why storytelling works? Because it causes us to think about it in pictures.
That's an interesting consideration. As you were saying that, what I was thinking is that if you're dealing with a video story, you've got multiple sensory inputs. Both,
and you're giving them the pictures.
Yeah.
Because they'll see a factory or whatever.
Yeah, auditory, visual input, and doing what you mentioned there, of their then, I guess, visualizing in their head how that would play out for their company if they did the same thing and followed the same routes. So if anything, you're hitting three inputs in a way to a person's conscious or subconscious, which in turn then would help land it more strongly in their mind. And heck, if your marketing can land more strongly than your competitors,
well, if they remember it, if you're remembered more than your competitors, that's the essence of building a brand. You know, if you look at most, Coca-Cola, I put a post on LinkedIn today, and I had a Pepsi can right in front, and I put it there and thought, I wonder how many people will comment on the Pepsi can. And most people spotted the Pepsi can straight in front. And I was just thinking, sometimes these visual cues really prompt people in ways that wouldn't happen written down.
Okay.
And I was like, so I put it there, and it's like, are you on a paid promotion, Dean? Somebody said. And I had a few people, I said, because I put it, it wasn't a post I put up this morning, the picture I took earlier or later, a few days ago. But obviously I put it up this morning early with me with a can of Pepsi Max. So it looked like at 7 o'clock in the morning I was drinking a can of Pepsi Max. And people created a picture of people saying, what are you doing with Pepsi Max at 7 in the morning? That's not a healthy lifestyle. But it is these pictures that we put up. And I find this on social media. The more you make something real to somebody, the more they retain that information. So like I do a lot of PDF posts, a lot of image posts. But what I found is doing more videos, the views aren't as good as my PDFs. But more people say, I feel like I know Dean now because of the videos. Personality comes across and all of that stuff that doesn't come across on paper or can be misinterpreted. Do you think, just more generally, video is the ultimate kind of content consumption?
Based on ease, yes, yeah. And
it's not the easiest to produce, but it is the easiest to engage with a human.
For sure, yes.
I hate TikTok videos.
I'm not on there yet.
It's really difficult. Not because I think it's the shortness of you've got to do something and get it across quickly.
Yeah.
But also it's the format of portrait I find really tricky. Because you get used to camera stands and everything, and now it's like, I can't even get my phone to stand up that way. It is tricky, isn't it, to do video in a way well and land it quickly. I'm thinking TikToks and stuff like that, and stories and all that kind of stuff. It is difficult. Do you find it difficult?
For me, vertical video is the most awful thing that has happened to the video production industry for the past 25 years.
The only problem is that the kind of video production industry's lost that battle.
Yeah, I know, and it's awful. And in fact, when I'm taking photos, I will find myself now doing the way I'd normally do it, not proper photo, landscape, and then do one of the exact same one again. So your photo library's got 2 versions of the same thing.
But it's tough to get a video. I found like doing a 60-second video and landing a message fast is difficult.
Yes, because in a 60-second video, you've got up to 180 words if you're talking quickly. Because the formula you work on is 3 words per second off a bit. So actually, you're probably looking at about 150 words. How can you get across some insightful content during that time? I am going to be giving that some thought. But I think for anyone that puts in the effort in these kind of things, then if you do put in the effort, and then if everyone else is just bashing out mindless nonsense, but maybe you produce less of it, but the quality of the media is higher, then maybe you will get remembered more because compared to everyone else, I'm actually learning something from this person. Have
you been following or have you heard of Mr. Beast?
I know of him, and I've seen 1 or 2 of the videos. Yeah.
So it's an interesting business model of what he's doing with video, because he's basically creating loads of videos, but he claims that every penny he makes, he puts back into the videos. Okay. And he's done one recently, which was it? It was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And he built Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Obviously, this guy's worked up to this, or he's got outside money somewhere. But he spent more than $4.5 million on this video, sold a sponsorship to somebody else, and made his own chocolate bar out of it. And he's made $4.5 million and spent $4.5 million.
Okay.
And you look at that and you go, why did you not spend $3.5 million? And he said, it's not his bag. He wants to invest everything in to make the best possible videos, to be known for making the best possible videos. You go on YouTube Shorts now and everything is Mr. Beast. Everything. And this guy isn't your classic Andrew Tate. He's quite, he's not bold and cocky and all of those things. He's like this really kind of chilled out, ordinary looking guy. Mm-hmm. But because he's got his content right, it's flying. And I think sometimes businesses miss this, that they are effectively they're a television company that sells stuff.
Yes.
Every business is that now, right? I'm using television as an example, but every business should be producing content that's consumed, and you happen to sell widgets, or you happen to sell...
Yes. A media company that produces dosing systems for industry and motors, that kind of thing. Yeah. I
suppose we're doing it now.
Yeah. I suppose ultimately you've got that ongoing battle of needing to stand out from the noise, and then if everyone else is doing one thing, then really sense would dictate you go and do the opposite. So if everyone else is putting out short form, very light content in terms of what you can learn from it, then the opposite of that is to put in effort to deliver real educational value. Because I think there's the 2 things that people will watch. It's either generally it's entertainment, comedy, or education. I'd put forward that you'd be struggling a bit in B2B to go down the entertainment route. You probably could, but then how does that link to your product or service? Far better, I think, to go down the education route. So put in the effort to educate properly.
It's like you got Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
very, very long form content.
Yeah.
There are some funny bits, but there's a lot of useful and interesting information in them. You've got people like Jordan Peterson, who's gone very long form on YouTube. Now he's obviously snippeted up everywhere because all of his sound bites have been chopped up, but he'd put a 3-hour lecture on YouTube and like millions of people would watch it. And I think what you said earlier about with the video case studies, if you put out something of length, you can chop it up, you can tease it. Maybe I'm answering my own question. Maybe the answer is to do more long form and chop up rather than try and do short form and go the other way.
I think that that is definitely the way to go, because you can chop up something big and wholesome into smaller pieces, but you can't do it the other way around. Mm-hmm. So actually, it's a very efficient use of time, energy, resources to be producing something that's your cornerstone bit of content, and then chop it down into and repurpose it into smaller bits to drive traffic, to drive interest to the main show. Mm-hmm. Other people aren't doing that, generally speaking. So I think the smart money's on taking that approach.
Yeah, I mean that's where I think videos come into its own now. It's so accessible that many people can produce it. So
yeah.
The key is the quality, because I'm going to break the rules here, but is the quality the camera and the microphone, or is it what's said and shared?
The content is always king. I've always stuck by that, and that applies now more than ever, because other people can go out and they can get nice cameras, and they can hire someone to film something that looks nice. Then, whereas previously, I want to say previously, late 90s, early 2000s, then you did need a healthy budget to produce a professional-looking corporate video, mm-hmm. And that previously was one of the key differentiators. But nowadays, because pretty much everything is in 4K, the quality aspect is not necessarily a differentiating factor. And the reason why I'm saying not necessarily is that I do not advocate producing crappy content. There's no need. But driving it, the most important thing, though, is definitely the content. That is what's going to give you the separation, and that's what's going to help you better.
But crappy content is decided by the audience, right? Does it achieve its job? How do you define what is good or bad content?
Whether or not it delivers, in a B2B context, whether or not it delivers educational value to the viewer, and whether it helps them understand their problem better, and whether it helps move them along the buyer's journey. What I would say is that, let's say you've got the content and you're focused on producing high quality educational content, you've got the written and the spoken stuff right, then why not make it look good? If you've got the resources and capability of doing that, if you've got a budget to be able to do it, then there's no reason why you should deliberately make it look bad. Also, you've got, as far as larger companies are concerned, if you're putting out content that is ropey, then it reflects on you. So you've got a brand image thing as well. So I say get both bases covered.
See, I would say, coming back to my Star Trek thing, right? Star Trek Picard.
Yes.
Right? Have you seen it?
Not the new series, but I used to watch the original.
So, Star Trek Picard, it's got all the special effects and everything.
Okay.
You can't fault it for all of that. But the story is just a mess.
Right, there you go. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But when you hear the production team talking about it, it was great work, some really great storytelling and all this stuff. But the fan base goes, that was crap.
Right.
You made an iconic character look like a doddering old fool, and your own story unpicked itself. For me, quality content is decided by the audience, not by the producer, which makes it more difficult, because I can arbitrarily judge and go, I think I was great in this podcast.
Yeah.
But somebody looked at us, what is he on about? He wandered onto Star Trek, he went everywhere. It's subjective, and I would have one view, but ultimately I have an objective I want to achieve, and I should be measuring it by the objective. Does it get me what I want? Mm-hmm. Did it help my customers learn more about us, trust us more, believe us more? Did it convince us? Did it convince our viewers who are watching this? Did it convince them that we're that little bit better than the other alternative? How would you approach that? As a producer, have you ever had a scenario where you've had a client going, yeah, you're the expert, James. You're the absolute expert. We've never done video like this before. You're the expert. And so you think, this is great. The client's going to trust us to get our work done and the project and do it really well. And then suddenly they turn into Ridley Scott. Have you ever had that?
I've had one client who was very... at the last minute, we'd planned the videos really quite brilliantly. I'm being careful to not give away who this is, because they might watch. And the set of videos was superb, and we developed a particular angle for how to deliver them. But then right at the last minute, the client insisted on doing something which really negatively impacted the delivery of the content. But because they were so convincing with that, oh, no, we need to do this because it's going to fit in with our company, I went along with it. But unfortunately, afterwards, it was like, oh, no, I really should, as a producer, I should have stood my ground on that one. Now, that was quite a while ago, and I'm happy to say that I've not done that since. I mean, you are allowed, aren't you, to make a mistake once or hopefully learn from someone else so you don't do it yourself. Yeah. But in that case, I did. And you know what? I think that's actually a strong requirement of a producer to be able to, first of all, obviously know their subject matter and know how to produce these things, but also to stand your ground in terms of keeping the production on point, so that you end up with the marketing tool that is the reason why you're commissioning it in the first place. So
I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay.
So this is a few years ago. So we were producing a TV commercial for a wedding company. We'll say wedding company, wedding dresses, fancy wedding, very expensive ones. And one of the owners wanted to be in their own commercial.
Okay.
Right? But not as a kind of, this is my brand, kind of Alan Sugar. He just wanted to be a cast member. And we had a young female bride, and he wanted to be the groom.
Okay.
And we were like, I'm not sure this is a good idea, because you're like in your 50s and she's in her 20s. And I know all the kind of stereotypes have gone away now. You can marry whoever you want. But we were like, I'm not sure this is going to work. We went along with it for a little bit, but then on the day of the shoot, it looked like basically a granddad was marrying a young girl. And it was like, I'm not sure this is a good idea. And there was some remarks about it I won't share, but we changed it in the shoot, and he became the father of the bride.
Oh, you did? Okay, right, nice.
Because otherwise, it could have gone all sorts of ways.
For sure, yeah.
But sometimes when you're kind of so excited about a project like that, you kind of lose common sense, and you end up where the client who has no experience gets very excited and goes, let's do this. We've had, this is years ago, we want to do a scene on a yacht, on a little yacht. And we were like, okay, we'll film it. And this is for life insurance. And this old couple on a yacht sailing around. And it was like, I'm not sure how realistic this is. But sometimes you can get really excited about video and overstretch yourself, or parts of your idea take you beyond the story.
Yeah.
It's really tricky, though, saying no to clients, though, isn't it?
What you don't want is a yes man or yes woman. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. Is yes, absolutely, yes, sure. But it does take a strong person who knows what they're doing to balance, because you never want to upset a client and just poo-poo them. But so long as you as a producer are focused on the end goal, and you're able to take a step back, and in that case, think of all the outcomes. If then you can come back to the client and explain, right, if we go down this route, these are the likely repercussions. But if we go down this route, then we won't be facing that. And I guess where I'm in a similar situation, I'd probably articulate it like that then. But ultimately, strongly recommend that we take the path that's going to get the results needed, and also. I guess remind or reinforce the fact that, look, you are the expert. Well, in this case, I'm the expert. You've hired me to do a job here, just as you would say. Well, I know you don't necessarily hire doctors, but you wouldn't get involved with how they do their surgery operation.
You wouldn't have a doctor. You tell the doctor, "I want this medication."
Yeah, I want the 5 mil blade, not the 1 mil blade. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you hire professionals, and it's because they know what they're doing. I think there's a lot to be said for being. There's a lot to be said for being a good client, and that comes for me for being open and honest about budget, and then being willing to put your trust in the professional once you've figured out that they're good at what they do.
If you effectively, I might be putting you out of business here or losing you some business here, but if you want to just hire somebody to do as they're told and film what you want, they are the producer.
Yeah, they are, for sure. But at the same time, they've then got to be prepared to take it on the chin or on the shoulders when that video doesn't deliver as they hoped it would. Because, as you say, yes, they've then turned into the producer. And is that really their core specialism? I'd be very surprised if it is. So
how did you get to be a producer? How did you get into this video production world?
All right. How I had to really think about that. Honest answer is my hairdresser when I was 16. We were talking. There we go. Yeah, it goes back a while. Conversation was us having my hair cut, and was it a man or a woman? I can't remember. I think it was a man, actually. So he recommended I get into radio, and hospital radio was a thing at the time. So it did that, and had a great time in radio. And that's have you been in radio as well?
Yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
You'd appreciate it. So with radio, you've really got to work harder, haven't you? Because you haven't got visuals to support you. What's said and played carries everything. So I had a great time and really appreciated and developed the craft for radio presentation. But then I was pulled into video production, and then I went to university, and then at uni started working at the BBC.
So you're a proper BBC. How long were you in the BBC for?
98 to 2005.
Oh, quite a stretch then.
Yes, when the BBC at the time was doing corporate videos.
Okay.
Yes, and I mean, heck, as far as a brand's concerned for corporate videos at the time, you couldn't beat that. And then in the early 2000s, the then Director General said, right, that's it. You guys, you're not allowed to make corporate videos anymore, which then just exploded the corporate video production industry in the UK, because all of a sudden the BBC weren't making them. And then I as a lot of other people did, went, right, fine, we will go solo and do our own thing. But as part of that, then the corporate videos, I don't like using the term, but you know what I mean.
Business.
Yeah. Marketing videos, corporate videos, they ended up getting a lot better, because it wasn't then just television people producing it from a television capability. One of the first things I then did, happened kind of naturally, was then started studying marketing and learning about marketing, which then...
One of the big criticisms of the BBC, maybe not so much now, but because they use a lot of private studios now, was everything was the expensive way.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like, I worked with some ex-BBC people for a long while. It was like, we want to do a live broadcast, and it's going to be for 4 hours in one location. How can we do it? Yeah, we've costed it up. It's £250,000. It was like everything was like, it was like there was nothing cheaper than £250,000.
No, yeah. That's a really good point. I'd not thought of it like that. I worked really hard to find efficient ways of producing things, and unfortunately, yes, that was, I guess, a bit of a ball and chain that I'd been not grown up with, but I'd been taught that yes, you have to do everything completely, and that's a good thing, doing things properly and to a very high standard. But when it comes to the budgetary side of things, then what's feasible for television production or a massive blue chip client is very different to what an SME can likely afford.
And I think as well, though, because of the booming kind of commercial video sector, because the BBC ditched its position, it's forced innovation. You know, the new cameras you can pick up cameras for like £600-700 that do really decent videos now. Well, it depends on you.
No, you're right. It is nuts, yes, because I mean at the time a broadcast television camera, you know, the big things on your shoulders. I mean, heck, with the lens and the battery pack, they were knocking on what, £75,000-80,000. So if you were in corporate video production for anyone else, you weren't. Well, there were production companies who had that kit, but they were very few and far between. Generally, people with more prosumer equipment. But yes, nowadays, you can produce some really nice stuff on a lot less expensive kit. Well, to be fair, the cost of the equipment has come down massively. But the one thing you still won't get away from, though, is that ultimately, regardless of the quality, it's the story, it's the content that counts. And yeah, if you can produce that well at the same time, then why not? That's my thing.
So James, where do you think the future of video is going? The whole metaverse thing. We have to cover the metaverse thing, right? Because everybody's like, oh, no, it's all going to be 3D in the future. I know this is kind of off topic, but I've asked a few people about it. It's all a bit made up at the moment, isn't it, really, the metaverse, right? That's my view. What do you think?
I still think it's too early. I mean, heck, I remember watching, I think it was in 1992, the film The Lawnmower Man, where everyone would be in VR headsets. And how many years ago is that? 30 years ago. We're still not there yet. And when was it? Oculus, the Oculus VR headsets. I mean, they've been around for
nearly 10 years, I think.
10 years, yeah. We're still not using them. I previously was excited about that, but then quickly realised, hang on, it's just not practical. I don't know why, but in terms of where video comes into play for that,
I've seen like some really good, like with the Oculus, I got one, and I was like, this is great because I can go to the pyramids and places and I can look around. But then I quickly realised the safety risk of wandering around with this Oculus on, right? And the fact that it actually hurts after a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's banking on this and going, this is the next thing. And I'm just not sure how this is going to unfold. I don't know how you create that sensory thing. Because video gives you the senses, but obviously they're trying to add another dimension to the senses. And the closest I don't know whether you've seen there's a film with Bruce Willis in it called it's going to bug me now. And basically they sit in a computer on a chair all day, and they have haptic feedback all over their body.
I know the film, yeah.
I can't think of the name, and I'm like, is that where we're going here?
If it is, that's a long way off, I think. In relation to B2B and B2B marketing, I think it's really important to stay focused on your goal, you know. And I think Seth Godin covered this in his book Meatball Sunday, where he warns against people getting the latest shiny object or the latest technique or technology and sticking it on their marketing stack, and you end up figuratively with an ice cream sundae with meatballs and a load of other things that don't go together. So I wouldn't be in any hurry at all to worry about metaverse and VR for B2B. What I would be interested in, though, is NFTs.
Okay.
That one is right around the corner. There's a marketing chap in B2B that's gone big time saying no, it's a scam, and it's never going to play out. But he's right. He's wrong.
I think a lot of the current NFTs are a joke.
Oh, you're talking about the art ones? Yeah.
I'm going to scribble something and sell it for $200 million. I think that bit is a joke, but I can see how like transferring assets or buying something with a recurring value to it, that could be really useful. Like, we have like, I saw an idea for an NFT where you could invest in, say, a movie production. Mm-hmm. And so you can NFT the movie and then you get a cut of the sales. NFTs work really clever in that way because every ticket sale at the box office, it can trickle back and divvy out in a way that any other way would be very complex and expensive.
Yes, and underpinning that is the whole smart contract thing. Yeah. And as I understand it, what this stands to be able to do is essentially cut out the movie studios, or in the case of music, cut out the music company, because you can then have PR, production, social media, all of these as part of this NFT contract, and these people or service providers are providing it, and they then get released the money along the way.
If you put your music on Spotify, you could then get all of your commissions, your fan base who have supported you producing it, all of that, and every sale that goes through, you get the cut. The cut is divvied up automatically. I can see that, and I can see how that is valuable. I just think at the moment everybody's still in that speculation.
Yes.
Did you see the guy who bought Jack Dorsey's first tweet?
Great investment.
What did he spend? 50 something million, was it? I can't remember.
It was something stupid, yeah, and they couldn't get $1,000 for it.
Yeah, he was trying to sell it couldn't sell it at all.
A fool and his money is easily parted, I think, the expression.
It's nuts. But I think video's around to stay. It's not going anywhere, at least not until we all live in this metaverse and we all waste away our bodies on these machines. Video is the most interactive, sensory piece of content you can make of anything you've got.
Yeah,
that's it. And using it to tell stories is what's getting remembered. That's the crux of what you do, right?
Yes.
You tell a story using clients' experiences to tell a story, land it with other people. And that is a mini movie. We don't think of it like that, but it is a mini movie because there is a story, there is a plot to it, there is an outcome at the end. And just like a movie studio, they want to make money off the back of the video, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you are a movie producer. Patronizingly said, but you are a movie producer. You're producing a piece of content that tells a story and engages an audience.
Yes, 100%. And it just so happens that this particular type of movie ends up with nurturing future clients for a B2B business.
So, James, how does it work? If somebody wants you to help them create these compelling stories, how do you work with them? What's the process? They obviously contact you, but how does it work?
Sure.
And do they need a 20 grand budget?
No. Although 20 grand is a common figure.
Now you mention it, Dean.
Yeah. But in terms of the process, I'm a big believer in making the effort as a company to deliver great customer service. There isn't an industry where great customer service isn't a wonderful thing. But in terms of doing a video case study, it starts with a detailed consultation with the client to find out about their business in detail. And I've designed it so that the client doesn't have to do any work or homework or prep work, because that's ultimately the whole idea of it is that you pay someone to do the work for you. You don't want extra workload on your schedule. So the magic really happens in the pre-production meeting, and that's where I just download their brain and find out everything that we need to be able to understand their business, their marketplace, their competitors, how to sell their product, what makes it great. All of these, and then that provides the direction for which later on we then set about taking in the interview with the client. So it's actually quite a simple process for the client. So as far as they're concerned, it's so it's up to an hour pre-production interview. Typically it's 40 minutes, but I schedule up to an hour. And after the pre-production interview, we go away, do our thing, prep the shoot, do the arrangements, and then the next big milestone, if you will, is the day of filming. Mm-hmm. And the day of filming is when we always do the interview first with the client, because that's the most important thing. That's when we want to get
most energy
right.
Out of them,
Yes, because you're at your best first thing. And then the rest of the day then is, as much as we can, spent filming the B-roll footage of the client's business in action and them doing what they do. And then after that, because the pre-production work is so detailed, and that has driven the interview, we already know in advance everything that the video will cover. So when it comes to the edit and the delivery to the client, the normal way of doing it is that clients expect to have lots of changes and amends to it. But because we followed a formula and a plan right from the beginning, when we present the finished thing, there's typically just a few tweaks that need doing in terms of, that person's job title might need doing differently, or, we've checked with legal and we can't actually say that one thing. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, then it's really a three-step process in that part. And I think this is a wonderful thing for making things easy.
Sounds pretty easy.
Exactly, yes.
So if somebody said, yeah, James, let's go, what's that kind of duration, start to finish?
That's a good question. And
I guess it depends on availabilities and stuff.
Does.
But
the big thing that changes the duration is the availability of the featured clients, because we have to work around them. So whenever the person who's going to be doing the interview, when they're available, that can greatly affect it. I say it's between as little as 3 weeks, but up to 6 weeks for kicking off the project, the order's signed, and then we're good to go. If you had a client who's good to go and they were on board and already engaged, then you can easily do that in 3 weeks.
Wow. Pretty quick then.
What I would add to that, though, is that, and I got this from the B2B Buying Disconnect report 2020, is that the number one reason why marketers don't produce case studies anywhere near as much as they should is because of the time, energy, and effort that it takes to produce them normally. Everyone knows they should be using them more, and everyone appreciates what they do, but it's the time, energy, and effort involved, which is the reason why people don't. So that's why I reverse engineered that and made it as simple as possible.
Cool. Awesome. So James, you're on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Where should somebody, other than LinkedIn, we'll put your LinkedIn details around this, wherever this is.
Yeah.
Where should somebody get hold of you? What's the website that you want them to go to? Should they message you on LinkedIn? How's the best way to reach you?
Storyhero.uk.
Storyhero.uk. And they're not 20 grand. You can make 20 grand ones, but you price it for small businesses, so it's affordable for a business owner, a couple of staff. They really want to lay it in. I also think it's quite interesting if you can do it in 3 weeks. If somebody was going for a big tender, they could plan this and have this together to go with a tender and kind of use it in a tender, but actually then reuse it over and over and over again. And a good story doesn't date, right?
No, and once you've got, you should at least have one as well, because from there you can start and you can prove the concept. But yeah, you need at least one to give to your sales team for when they're doing presentations, for when they're following up, and for your marketing team as well, for them to be able to use online and
what's they call it? Social proof. People are looking for proof these days more than ever. We don't trust Google reviews. Well, I don't have to watch some of the films I watch and look at the Google reviews. I'm like, how does that work? So Google reviews, all of that stuff, for me, you always have to treat it with an air of skepticism. Because, you just look and go, well, that looks made up. But video is something that cannot be, you can't dismiss from taking, seeing somebody say something about your business and them going, that's their opinion, and I'm respecting their opinion. Whereas I look on Google and I go, yeah, Google review? Is that even real? Or like you said, a testimonial or written case study. It's much easier to, what's the word? Add an extra bit of pizzazz.
What was the word? Embellished?
Yeah.
I think
That was a very polite way of putting it. Yeah.
I have my moments.
So, James, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on totally unscripted.
Yes, but thank you as well. It's been painless.
I'm glad you said painless.
No, it's been good. Thank you.
In the edit, it'll be, it's been pain. Nice. So guys, do find James on LinkedIn. We'll put his details around here. If you're thinking about using case studies to really convince people to go with you, video is the way to go. Video is highly persuasive. It's much more interactive and you get to know people better. James, thank you so much.
Thank you.